What is this?
I said I know you. I know all about you. Yes, I want the box, and I'll leave with that if it's all I can get. I came looking for something more, and I think I found it. I'd like you to come with me.
How do you know about me?
I was hoping for a more relaxed conversation, but you're right, we don't have time.
It's a positive film. It has heroes and villains, and that it essentially is a fun movie to watch. It's been a long time since people have been able to go to the movies and see a sort of straightforward, wholesome, fun adventure.
Well, it's a fantasy. It's not science fiction so much as it is space fantasy. And it's about people. It's finally about people and not finally about science.
The story, when you actually put it into words, is only so much nonsense to hang a great visual experience onto. It's the stuff that fairy tales are made of.
It's sort of boiling down religion into a very basic concept. The fact that there is some deity or some power or some force that sort of controls our destiny works for good and also works for evil.
Marvelous, healthy innocence. Great pace, wonderful to look at, full of guts, nothing unpleasant. I mean, people go bang bang and people fall over and are dead, but, no horrors. A sort of wonderful freshness about it, kind of like a wonderful fresh air.
It's got whatever you want it to be. It's pure entertainment. It's like a roller coaster ride, and it can be interpreted as long as you enjoy it, which is the intention.
And welcome back to Generation Skywalker's second look at Andor Season 1. Now, on tonight's episode, we're going through the first arc, episodes 1, 2 and 3 of Andor. Now, who am I joined by? First of all, I'd like to welcome back Stu Skinner. How you doing, Stu?
I'm all good, mate. You?
Excellent. Yeah, fine. Thank you very much. Stu, right, I'm going to come straight to you and ask you a quick question, right?
God.
So, if you were going to be doing something with work and you needed to rent a car or a wagon or something or other, you needed to get hold of some new wheels and you had the option to get hold of anything you wanted, what Star Wars spaceship or craft would you get for your next road trip if you could get any of them? What would you get? What spaceship or craft? What would you get?
Am I doing a road trip on a planet or in space?
Whatever.
I'd quite like an Ewok battle wagon to go around a country. Yeah, load it up, sleep in it.
Right.
Yeah, be like the old Falcon days, mate, that we used to have.
We've enjoyed a couple of road trips or two, but an Ewok battle wagon, nice. All right, yeah, a bit of left field, nice. Okay, cool, brilliant stuff. Now, also on the call, Dan Burgess, mate, what's going on?
Not a lot, mate. All good. Looking forward to talking Andor.
All right, okay. Now, Dan, you've just recently moved house into a new location, and
have I?
Everyone you have, bear with me, and everyone is their property, their house, their dwelling, has got a name instead of a number, right? You know this type of house. So, if you were to move into that house and you needed to give it a Star Wars location or some sort of name related to Star Wars, what would it be and why?
Scarif.
Oh, right, okay, all right. Nicely linked to Rogue One and Andor. Okay, Scarif. Why? Why? Is there just loads of sort of...
It's just a tropical planet, isn't it?
Always battling with the missus? What?
It's like when people call their house like Casa, bloody south of France or something, where some little village. So yes. Brings back thoughts of nice beaches.
Right.
Casa Scarif.
Okay, Casa Scarif. You're dropping links to Andor and Rogue One all over the place, mate. I'm liking it, whether or not that's intentional or not. Now, we are also joined this evening by Andor graphic director, graphic designer, and also Anto Kreegyr. We've got Baz Gingell. How you doing, Barry?
I'm good, man. How are you? It's very nice to be here. Thanks for having me.
Mate, it's great to have you back. It was great to have you on the last episode and a real treat for us to have you tonight. Baz, just a quick question, mate. Tell me something Star Wars related you've been, you've got up to in the last couple of weeks. Anything socially, privately, anything at all. Anything. How has Star Wars penetrated your life?
Oh, I've been sorting out what I'm taking to Echo to sell, but ironically, it's not Star Wars.
Okay.
Because I don't tend to take Star Wars to Echo, weirdly.
Right.
Hence the McDonald's ham puppets from last time.
Okay, interesting.
Been watching the Andor 2 trailer.
Ooh.
And the Andor Secrets of trailer, thing that's hit Disney Plus today, which is good.
Nice.
And I've been dusting my biker scouts.
Ooh. Oh, hang on. Right. Okay. So, a couple of things then for me to unpick. So, let's just rewind a little bit for those people who might not have heard of it. Echo Live is that huge big collectors fair which is taking place in Redditch at the end of March. Yeah, it's going to be great to see you there. And loads of Star Wars crackheads who are going to be selling all sorts of Star Wars paraphernalia and collectibles. Amazing. So, that's the Echo business. The trailer and the special Disney Plus thing which has just dropped we'll come back to. But dusting your biker scouts.
That's my focus figure, yeah.
Right, okay, nice. So you've just got a whole collection of biker scouts. Do you dress up as a biker scout?
No, I'm too fat for that. No, I just have lots of biker scouts carded loose, the speeder bikes, just like you do when you've got a focus, trying to get with the SKU code, without the SKU code. Yeah. Hong Kong, Taiwan, Macau, Liledi. Not that I can have a proper Liledi one. I have been offered one, but it was about $3,000, and I was like, "No, I'm all right."
Wow.
Have you ever made a custom Playmobil biker scout?
No, I haven't.
No, that's exhausted that one then. Back to you, Des.
Brilliant. I love a biker scout. They do look so unbelievably great. Just slightly misplaced in the forest of Endor, but yeah, an absolutely brilliant thing. Now, you spoke about the trailer. All right, so Andor Series 2 teaser trailer, which came out on the 24th of Feb. So in between us recording the last episode and dropping the last episode, lads, just coming to you, what are your thoughts on this?
It was brilliant. What a trailer. Yeah. I know the music's a bit controversial, which I get, actually. And people have done some fan edits where it's just like, hey, have some Star Wars music. But it just looked gorgeous.
It really did. All right, so let's talk about the music briefly. The music, you said it was a bit weird. I didn't notice the music. Genuinely, first time I watched it.
Let me ask you a question. Does anyone know the name of the song that?
Isn't it To Start a Revolution or something?
It's called The Revolution Starts Now. It's from 2004 by a guy called Steve Earle. And I think that, listen to the lyrics, kind of makes sense.
Yeah.
But it's that country rock sort of style that I don't think is very popular, certainly in the UK. That's rolled a few people up, but I don't think it didn't first. Until people started talking about it, I would have watched it and got, it looks a good trailer. I didn't get upset about the music at all.
Same
here. I watched it 2-3 times and didn't even pick up on that.
I did.
Just excited.
It's this excitement. How Star Warsy am I feeling? Massive. I mean, from my point of view, I guess the trailers, they're not for us, are they? Because we're already invested. We're going to be watching it. We're going to be watching it time and time again. What they're trying to do is cast their net. They're far and wide and just appeal to other people. So yeah, they try to zhuzh it up and do a bit of this, do a bit of that. Beyonce's tipped a hat or a Stetson rather to country. So they're just like, okay, let's just maybe get out there what's popular at the moment, because they are just trying to maybe dodge that Andor was a bit slow.
Well, no, but that's exactly what I mean. When you look at the trailer, every other shot in between, there was some text talking about it's Critics' Choice, Emmy Award quality. All the headlines you'd expect to see on something like that, and it's to bring people back in that might have either forgotten about Andor, because it's been 3 years now since the last series, obviously Star Wars has taken recently with the Acolyte, and they're trying to reel a few more people back in.
But I loved it. Go on.
No, it just seems the smart. It is like casting a wide net, right? I think you're right.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's funny though, like when they brought out the Skeleton Troop trailer, no one got bent out of shape about that though. Oh, it's not Star Warsy enough.
There were a couple of people still getting a little bit bent out of shape. Some people, unless it's tailor made for their specific tastes, they get all beat up online and just vent their frustration. And it's just like, watch and look at that. Look how glorious that looks on telly. And got my juices going.
No one hates Star Wars more than Star Wars fans.
There is that, Baz. There is that. Now, from your point of view, being involved in the craft of Andor Series 2, there must have been stuff which you saw then in that trailer which you've seen before, but other stuff which was just an absolute sort of delight. Or are you so read in that you know everything? I mean, were there any treats for you in that trailer?
Well, yes. Like the work of TJ Falls and Moen, like the visual effects stuff. Mm-hmm. Because like I know all the sets and the bits and bobs and the vehicles and the this and that, and then you see concepts of stuff, but then when you actually see what those guys have done and their team have done, that's mind-blowing. Because I've seen like a picture with I've got to moderate my language in case I reveal things, but I've seen pictures of things with like, oh, this is what it could look like, and then they've gone and done their visual effects work and it's stunning. The TIE Fighter, especially, I just love that because that was built. It's a set, a practical set, but to see it flying around and blasting and shooting and everything was just like, oh my gosh, this is brilliant. Because I was there when we did the stunts for it, but to see it all put together, that was incredible. Their work on Coruscant looks incredible. Oh, so good. Those guys really smashed it out the park. But the other stuff, as you say, I've seen.
Can you take this back to the people you've worked with in Disney and everything else? I was really lucky that I got to watch Ahsoka Episode 5 on the big screen in Trafalgar Square, and it was incredible. Now, I remember leaving the cinema saying I would happily pay good money to watch every episode of that on the big screen, like once a week when it drops, and then go back and watch Disney Plus again. To me, Disney Plus, Lucasfilm would be able to say, right, here's a few selected cinemas. Let's the day they come out or the night before they come out in the cinema, I'd go and pay £10 a ticket or whatever it is, $5.99 ticket, whatever it is, and then watch it again, because it just looks too good just to be on the small screen when you look at trailers like that. I mean, it's money for old rope. Just get it in the cinema. Let us watch it, because it looked great, mate. Really, really did. But talking of which, the Andor Season 2, A Special Look, dropped this morning on Disney Plus. Did you know that was coming?
No. What a complete shock. But it looked great with a few extra little bits and bobs.
Totally nice. Stu, you've seen this, haven't you?
I did. Just got me even more ramped up, really. It looks amazing. I think the lady that plays Mon Mothma in the video, she said about the costumes. Well, that really struck out in that bit of footage. I mean, some of the outfits and sets look amazing. Can't wait.
So much went into that planet. I think everyone knows which planet it is now, because if you watch any of those trailers on Disney Plus with subtitles, it tells you all the character names and the locations and everything.
Yeah.
But yeah, Michael did such a good job with that. So good.
I think in almost every respect, that's got me more excited than the teaser trailer. And I think this links to the teaser trailer was for everyone else. It was, for my wife and my daughter, for all these people who don't necessarily watch Andor. But today's drop, the special look, was for all of the people who were still really super thirsty after the teaser trailer came out. Yeah, amazing.
Nice little shot of the back of Muftak. Is his name Muftak? No. What's the great big white furry thing? Muftak was in the canteen.
He might not be. Is it Muftak and Cabe was the 2 set, wasn't it? That was released, that I can never remember which is which.
Oh, it's in my book.
Oh, it's Muftak was in the cantina, but
he looks a bit like him
in Rogue One. They're in Rogue One. They released a figure of it in the Rogue One range, and it had a different name, but I can't remember what he was called.
M-O-R.
But he was very clear.
Yeah, that shot was great, right?
Yeah,
that's one of those ones. Like I say, like having the visual effects put in. That the guys just have done such a good job. That was so moody and atmospheric, and I was like, oh damn, like I want to see that, because to me that was like a bit of foam board in a car park kind of vibe.
I've got the character here in Pablo's book, Star Wars: Dawn of Rebellion, visual guide. Morov, Moroff.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, that's what the figure was called in the Rogue One. Yeah, of course it was.
Taran Gregorian.
It really. I haven't had a chance yet. I want to stop that because I mean that was all Saw's
partisans.
Partisans. Yeah. It was like I thought, can't wait.
Yeah, it's so good. I mean, you know, we could go over and over that special look. I think the special look would actually play better on
than the trailer
podcast than a trailer would do. But I thought Cassian looked brilliant. He looked really young.
Yeah,
I thought he looked great. K2SO, that was just a massive treat just seeing him knock someone sideways. But for me, that looked like a minigun on the TIE Fighter. That like one of the best things from the film Predator was the minigun. That looked like a minigun, and to me, God, that got the juices flowing.
And honestly, I love that TIE Fighter.
Yeah, wasn't there? I know you had just alluded to it, Barry, about everyone knows what that planet is, but I don't know if we're talking about the same thing. But I mean, I've heard that. I mean, it gets referenced in the first series when Mon Mothma's in the Senate and she's talking about the Gormans, and the rumor is that planet's Gorman, and that's the site of in the expanded universe, anyways, of the Gorman massacre where Tarkin lands a Star Destroyer on protesters. So can't wait to see that, Barry. Say no more.
So good. And us getting all excited about season 2. We haven't even started talking about season 1 yet. It's such a good TV show. Love it.
And the bit of information which we talked about last time, but we weren't sure about, is that they have confirmed that they're going to do like episode 1, 2, 3 on a day, which is kind of what we said and we wanted. And it's kind of how it felt. Like we basically made 4 movies. That's how it felt. That's how it's going to look. And if someone cuts it together to be like, you know, movie 1, movie 2, movie 3, movie 4, you know, that would play beautifully in a cinema, you know.
Yeah.
It's surprising they're doing like sequential weeks as well. I thought they might give it a gap in between. But
yeah,
they're gunning for it. So it's all going to be out in 4 weeks.
I understand how exciting that is to get 3 at the same time, but I was also a little bit like, rather than having like a 10-week block where you're really excited with anticipation, it's just going to be over the course of a month. And that's a bit like where it normally takes 3 months. So I kind of like, I was kind of split. It's brilliant that you're going to get them, but at the same time, it's going to be over quicker. And
I really do think it's because each episode isn't a standalone. Like it is, they're so intrinsically linked together. It really is like a mini movie rather than 3 episodes. So
I know you can't say too much, Barry, but is each arc like a year? Because I know that this is going to cover 4 years, is it, leading up to Rogue One?
No, they don't really cover necessarily a year in time. It's you know, you have your story, however long that takes, and then there's like a time jump. So and some last longer than others, you know. But no, it's not. They're not really trying to say, hey, this 3 episodes is going to span a year, you know. And the story is what Tony wanted, you know, to tell, rather than let me stretch out and make sure we, you know, have enough months for a life day.
Stu, if you are worried that it's just over so quickly, then you know you can do that whole thing. You know, rewind it and watch again, and just continue to enjoy it. I see what you mean. I get it, but I think this is the best decision. I think they've taken loads of sort of notes from previous complaints and this, that, and the other, and they've just got a lot of confidence in this, and I think it'll see them through.
Yeah. So
and the moment it finishes, just press play on Rogue One.
Yeah.
Yes.
Apparently so.
Yeah. And the moment that finishes, just press play on Episode 4.
So good. Right. I reckon it's time for us to crack on and start talking about Andor Season 1, principally Arc 1, the first arc. So I know that we said that we were going to have a little look at this and look at the StarWars.com sort of special highlights from each of the episodes, but actually thinking it through to the finish, and after having a sort of full start with that, we decided no, we're just going to keep it nice and simple. We're just going to have a quick intro about a few different elements of episode 1, 2 and 3 of Andor Series 1, and then we're just going to freestyle it, and we're just going to have a chat about what we liked and what we didn't like, and hopefully Baz is going to drop in a few sort of gems as well from with regards to the sets or whatever else he was going on. But what I'd like to do is I'm just going to rewind very, very quickly, because I remember before the show was released, I had read an article. Now I kind of paraphrase when I say it, but words to the effect. This isn't the Star Wars you'd be used to. This is about the lives of normal people going about their business. And it did make me wonder, and it did make me slightly concerned if we were just about to enter a new, really boring world of Star Wars soap operas. Was Lucasfilm going to give us the Star Wars version of like Howard's Way or Crossroads, for those who can remember? And I was slightly troubled. However, they didn't disappoint. Andor is not Howard's Way or Crossroads, although for the record, I did kind of like the Howard's Way theme tune. Now, the first arc, the arc which we're going to talk about this evening, is, or was released on the 21st of September 2022, and it had us witness the first steps of Cassian Andor's journey from outsider to rebel hero. Did I say Cassian? Sorry, I meant Cassa. Or hang on a second, maybe I need to say Clem, or possibly even Keith. Anyway, there's this unreliable dude who changes his name more times in Season 1 than Kanye West and Sean Puffy Coombs, and who appear to have more problems than friends. But this is where the similarities with Yi and Diddy thankfully cease. Initially released untitled simply as episodes 1, 2 and 3, later being named episode 1 Cassa, episode 2 That Would Be Me, and the third episode Reckoning. This is the shortest of the Andor story arcs, but its low content duration of time certainly isn't an indication that this is low on storytelling. This is storytelling far, far better than I initially thought it would be. So guys, it begins on Morlandon 1, on a cool looking and slightly risque for a Star Wars sci-fi dystopia of a planet, as Cassian tries to find his lost sister in a brothel, or what I initially thought was possibly a strip club. As I said, slightly risque for Star Wars. He reveals to a hostess that he's from the planet Canary, but the trail for his sister goes cold. But he does catch the attention of two corporate security force meatheads. They follow him after he leaves the club, giving him a load of hassle, and they make a move to relieve him of some money. However, they pick the wrong guy to mess with, and he accidentally kills one and shoots the other square in the face whilst he's looking at him straight in the eyes whilst this guy is begging for his life. The scene concludes with him getting the hell out of there. Now, we are just at this stage 9 minutes in. It's a completely different looking Star Wars. Now, what was your take on that?
It's mad that it started in a brothel. That's for sure. That was a bit. Whoa! Hold on a minute. This is what's going on. And I love the music as well. The music in that scene. I know they kind of that scene gets. I think that music gets remixed several times through the course of the series. But yeah, it sounds quite Star Wars. And you mentioned there that the setting. That it feels. I know we probably mentioned it a few times through this show, but certainly this planet feels very Blade Runner. That bridge he walks across with those strip lighting, it just looks superb.
So good,
superb. And I like the bubbles in these, like kind of going through the Amsterdam red light district, where you kind of got these bubble windows with the girls sitting in there trying to tempt geezers in for a good time.
That was actually a lastminute.com.
Right.
Like that whole stairwell thing was not originally planned.
Okay.
And then it was only about 5 weeks or something stupid before we started that the director was like, no, I really want this. I really want to set this up. Like, I want to see the journey from the bridge to the brothel. So I think Luke and one of the other ones called Max is really, really good. Just like got their heads together, drew that up, and it was like built and done in like record time. And we covered it in graphics, which you don't really see, sadly. There's loads of signage and stuff, and there's a fruit machine that you just miss out on. Like if you go down the stairs in Jabba's palace,
Yeah.
if you look to the left as you go down the stairs, you can see these like light lit up box things.
Yeah.
Well, Sam, the set decorator, found on the Lucas archives a picture of them clear as day. And they're like little arcade sort of fruit machine type things with like almost like a gear stick knob lever thing. And we basically built one of those.
Nice.
And stuck it in the alcove. But he walks down the stairs and the camera's too far left and you don't see it. And at the bottom of those stairs, there's kiosks to the left that we spent ages dressing and putting stock in. And I did these spice packets, like you could like spice as though they were sweets or drugs or whatever, you know. And yeah, you just don't see any of it. It's such a shame. That set's actually bigger than you see. And then there's that brothel. The brothel Kate did is so good. But there's a sign above it, this pink dot sign. That's one of my favourite signs that I did on the show, and it cost a fortune. It looks like a VisFX, but it's a practical lit sign that's giant. It cost a fortune, but I loved it.
Has there ever been a mention of, especially on screen, casual sex ever been acknowledged in Star Wars until this episode?
What a good question.
I think the Irving Kershner was basically described. I mean, he's early days, right? A lot's gone on in Star Wars since then, but I think he spoke about like a kiss in Star Wars is almost like sexual intercourse. That's as far as it should go. It's a kids' film, blah blah blah. But this obviously took it to certainly what was put out there a little bit further, didn't it? And probably what's gone before.
Right from the opening scene when he's walking down towards the bar, you know, there's women in like the little pods, isn't there? Like you are in Amsterdam, kind of thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And one of those signs actually says mating in here, I think. I think that's what I wrote.
Yeah, I bet you wrote something else. If you travel to translate it now.
Honestly, it's mating.
Oh, okay. Very good.
I'd like to see a Star Wars kind of visual guide book of how all the different alien species reproduce. That'd be quite interesting.
And the girl that he meets in the bar, the one who's like the hostess there, she was a puppeteer on The Last Jedi. You aware of that, Barry?
No, I did not.
Her on IMDb. Yeah, I don't know who she puppeteered for, but yeah, that's one of her only credits that she's got.
No, I did not know that.
There you go.
Baz, you mentioned about going through the Lucasfilm archives.
Mm.
Is that part of your job that when you do a project like this, you could just say, right, yeah, I'm sort of clocking in for the day and I'm just actually going to spend a couple hours just having the privilege of going through the archive and just looking at stuff and then just saying, yeah, done 3 hours this morning? Or how does it work like that? Because
it depends who you are as to what access you have. So you actually really only have access to your show or your movie or whatever you're doing. But then I kind of said, well, I need more access. I need like Rogue One to, because we're doing Andor and like I need to like check it out. So I got that. And then I was like, well, actually, can I have more? And they were like, do you know what? We're just going to give you, I can't remember what it's called. Something stupid like Jedi Master access or something.
Oh, wow.
And then I was just like, yeah, there's like photos I've never seen, art I've never seen, pictures I've never seen. Yeah, it's bonkers.
Oh, that's ace. That's ace. Yeah, we want to do some sort of job swatch. Right. So what else from this is an opening scene. I just thought, it did so much straight away. I don't think anyone could deny the fact that they had sort of Amsterdam red light districts, whether or not they've wandered through that area on some sort of cultural experience or not. That was definitely the vibe. I mean, I got Solo vibes from it, probably because, I still have not seen Blade Runner yet. But I did get absolute Solo vibes from that. But one of the things which I got from it straight away was the writing, because there weren't things being sort of mansplained, but also there was they didn't have to. There were throwaway lines, Now, sometimes, I watch TV show or watch a movie and they'll introduce something or they'll say something and you think, well, they haven't said that for no reason, so that will feature later on, or that person's going to come back and do this. Whereas there was just normal sort of conversational, normal sort of, how am I explaining this? When they were like, oh yeah, there's nothing going, the upstairs lounge is closed tonight, and time was spent just world building and saying bits and pieces which are outside of the sort of, the vinegar strokes of what we were trying to get out of Andor's arc, which I just thought the writing there, they were brave enough in the first scene just to go off and talk about other things, just to try and make it more believable.
Tony's good at his job.
Yeah, fair enough. Yeah, simple as that. No one here gives their real name. I just thought it was really, really good. But Andor then, so Andor's reactions and how he was throughout this, so as a character, before we move on, what were you seeing, sort of comparisons with how you saw him in Rogue One, or what did you get from Andor himself?
I mean, it's hard to, at that point, it's hard to tell, isn't it? Because you're kind of just being introduced to it. But I suppose it does show he's still a cold-blooded bastard and he'll shoot people dead. So if that, regardless of whatever journey he's going on, he's still going to end up doing the same thing at the very start of Rogue One.
Yeah.
He's ruthless, isn't he?
He is a toughie. You're right. He's ruthless. I mean, as an actor, when they said something like, "Oh, that's a hard look, isn't it, for such a small pup," or whatever, and he gives him a really moody stare, which, for saying nothing, that was a very much I can quite easily take the pair of you out look in that brothel. And straight away I was getting stuff. But he didn't want to kill that guy. I don't know what he wanted to do. Obviously, he didn't want to hand over all of his cash. He wanted to get out of that situation. I think he was all up for having a fight and then just trying to get out there or talk his way out of there, like it appears that he does all the time. But after it became apparent that he had taken out one of those guards, Verlo, he's screaming at the other one, "Tell me what to do! Tell me what to do!" Then he realised that he's killed Verlo, and I just thought it was just really sincere, really, really good. But the fact then he's just like, "Yeah, I see no option. I'm in it for me. I need to get out of here." Bam, and he shoots the other guy straight in the face. You know that you're not dealing with a sort of mild-mannered janitor. You know you're not dealing with your typical hero, are you? This, Luke Skywalker. From Tatooine wouldn't just do that to get out of the situation.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, you've got to set him up as a bad guy too. Not bad guy, but he's got to be a bad boy, right? So that the show kind of has an impact on him, where he goes from being just a bit of a street level minor criminal thug type guy who owes people money to someone that can inspire and someone that can be a rebel and mean it and believe it.
Yeah, absolutely.
But he still has some level of compassion because he's out looking for his sister.
Yeah.
His sister. But, they don't really follow up on that so much, and that's probably something we'll get onto. And there'll probably be more of that in the second series, I imagine. But it's the fact that he's not there because he's looking for a good time, or he's there, trying to save his sister.
Maybe that's just not going to happen anymore. Maybe we're not going to hear about Kerry anymore, because apparently her name is Kerry according to Pablo's book. But yeah, you're absolutely right. I love that book. It's great.
It's a good one, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. But you're right that to see him in a bad way, in a desperate way, really, really does help to sort of highlight the journey that he goes on. Because this opening scene is that ripple effect. It does start things here, because the murder or what have you. Yeah, he's definitely caught the attention. So yeah, I would say that opening scene was the sort of catalyst which starts everything else off. Because this previously mentioned murder on Morlana 1. catches the attention of a determined corpo officer. So at the corporate security headquarters, we get introduced to Cyril Khan. Now someone, lads, I'm sure you'll agree, this is someone who very quickly, you would guess, probably has the nickname Kino or Keener, or worse, at work. Now, Kino Khan is principled and determined corpo officer, or maybe just massively ambitious, and thinks they've got sort of they've got their eye on the prize of ascension, but I don't think they've necessarily got the talents to get there. But anyway, he is very, very upset about what's taking place the night before, writes his report and gives it to his boss. However, his boss is a bit of a sort of grizzled old guy who's been around for a while, and he immediately recognises that the two dead men were probably up to no good, which ultimately they got themselves killed. Now, the chief reckons the incident should be swept neatly under the carpet and quickly offers a suitable cover story. He knows that highlighting security problems will gain the unwanted interests of the Imperials. Imagine some sort of Jedi mind trick. No, there is nothing to see here. This isn't the justice that you're looking for. So incensed at the chief's willingness to look the other way, Cyril has blinkered and just doesn't consider the bigger picture. And as soon as the opportunity exists, when his boss is away, he continues his investigation. He gets a lead, and from a generally apathetic collection of workers, gathers a partially enthusiastic but wholly incompetent team to hunt Cassian down. So Cyril Khan, that guy you love to hate, and his incompetent team of sort of Molana corporate security guys. What did you think of this? You know, we've got Cassian on one hand, and then we've got his sort of arch nemesis who's determined to get him, Cyril.
Yeah, he's just not a very nice guy, is he? He's he likes his breakfast cereal. He's always eating, in like some of the later episodes, he's always got a bowl of cereal in front of him. But his mum's, I think his mum's damaged him, to say the least.
Yeah.
And he's kind of he's the reflection of Andor, isn't he? If Andor's the rebel, he's the corporate man. He's climbing the ladder. He buys into the Empire and all of the things that come with it. He wants
Is he a nasty person? Is he just very conscious about doing his job, Dan? I mean, you could do that with your work. Maybe we'd have a better term.
I can turn a blind eye and duck and dive like the best of them, mate.
Yeah, I don't think he's inherently nasty. I think he's just misguided and broken.
Yeah. Misguided is a term which I'd use. You know, we have our influences. I think you're right. I think he's influenced by his mum, who's a bit of a ball basher, and he's tried to bring up, sit up straight, do this, do that, and the other, and clearly taught him in her best way, possibly, right from wrong. And he's definitely one who's drunk the sort of corporate Kool-Aid a little bit, and I think he's definitely got ideas above his station. But two of his colleagues have been murdered, so you can see that he's just like, that's wrong. Doesn't quite realise that he's on the wrong side. Maybe he does. Maybe I think Star Wars is really good, isn't it? It sort of redemption arcs and stuff like that. I hope it's not necessarily the case, or it might be. If anyone's going to have a redemption arc, I think it would be Cyril. But yeah, as that character you love to hate, in some respects, I felt a little bit sorry for him, which might completely go against what Dan said, but he's got this mission. He wants to find out who killed two of his colleagues, two of his mates. And the workforce around him are just like, they just can't be bothered, can they? They're obviously not paid much. They're not getting much overtime. They're just not enthused. This isn't the career they thought it was going to be, is what I'm getting from them. And he's trying to get him to do stuff, but he's really not an effective officer, not an effective leader. He's like that sort of classic young officer you see in old movies like Platoon and stuff, where just out of his depth.
I like the scene when he, I know we're jumping ahead a bit, and he's trying to get the troops hyped up before they land on Ferrix, and he's clearly not a leader.
No, so cringy, isn't it? That's so good. And him and the sergeant are so great together.
and that is the sergeant, the big guy.
Yeah.
The one that was little Mo, who used to beat up little Mo in EastEnders.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The
Sergeant
fomenting
Mosk.
guy.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the naked miner in Chernobyl. If you remember, have you seen that show?
Oh, that's because Andor production guys share. There's a lot of Chernobyl people.
Yes, that's right. Yeah, another class show.
But no, I like Cyril, but I agree. Like I kind of a rules guy. I'd probably do the same thing, but I wouldn't tailor my suit or add piping.
Again, he's just got that. That's his mum's influence. That's got to be. But then she questions it, doesn't she? Because she's on about, starch collar and what you've done to your collar later on. But I do think that maybe some of his mum sort of having, go at him. He's trying to smarten himself up. He's trying to look professional. But yeah, it's just the way he goes about it. That slow hand clap after the brief. Oh, it was just, it was absolute cringe.
Yeah.
But he is surrounded by a bunch of, well, it's like they don't really want to do it rather than can do's. They're just not particularly gifted amateurs. They did, and I said this before, I think I might have said this before to you, Dan, that they, with the greatest respect, and just in case any of our listeners do work for G4S, they kind of gave me that sort of G4S security vibe that we in the UK had just before the 2012 Olympics, when it was like, right, we're going to trust you guys to look after all the security for the Olympics, and everything's going to be great. Gave them all this money, said, right, crack on with it. And then about a month before the Olympics, we realised that they weren't up to it. So all of a sudden, all of the British Armed Forces was sort of, can you do this? We should never have really given it to G4S. So, I'm not dissing them massively, but yeah, I think that they're a bunch of tryhards who weren't necessarily down for it.
Am I imagining it? But their uniforms are based on security guards from Bespin, right? It's the same sort of feel and style as that.
I think probably. I'm trying to remember, because Michael has a war room, which is what you call, like, where you've got all your concepts and things. It's like a sealed area where, like, the windows are blacked out. There's a lock on the door, but everything is in there.
Wow.
So there's the Icon one. You go in and its function just looks beautiful, and Michael's got his as well. But I did go in there, and I'm trying to remember. They were all very similar. I don't know if he did base it exactly on the Bespin. I don't think he necessarily did.
I think it's the cap more than anything else.
Maybe the cap, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, it definitely stood out to me. That was the first. I remember watching it the first time, thinking, well, there's no Empire in these first three episodes, but there's a few nods to, private security and elsewhere that we've seen in Star Wars.
I'm just to make it all about me. I really like the logo that I did for them. Actually, the little PMC logo, which you see on Cyril's chest, and it's on the flanks of the ships. And so there was I based it on like the US flag kind of thing. So like a little bit of stripes is built in. Don't know how many versions I did before I got to that one. And it actually says PM in Aurebesh is built into it, but there's actually two versions, one for the left shoulder and one for the right shoulder, in the same way that the American military, they flip the flag on the right shoulder, so it's always charging forward.
Yeah.
So same thing with this logo, because originally I designed it before we had the costumes. I just found an overall online and made it petrol blue because that's Luke's favorite color, and then added orange because those are Luke's two favorite colors went together.
It's amazing, the detail. I mean, you talk about all this stuff and it's amazing, but it's I watch all of Star Wars generally, but I don't get that level of detail in other shows. Was Andor unique in that respect, in terms of how far you was allowed to go with this stuff, or do you think they were doing this on the other productions as well?
Truthfully, I can only speak for us, right?
Yeah.
I can only say that I'm a detail guy, so that's what I'm going to do. I'm always going to do that. and it's Star Wars, so my interest is makes me do more.
Yeah.
And Luke, as the production designer, is a details guy. Some aren't. Some are big picture guys, and they just like, what's this big sweeping thing going to look like? But he encompasses all of it, the minutiae and the giant. And so
I suppose the question
about
is that you were given the freedom, though, to do all of this. I appreciate you probably went, done a lot of overtime and got stuck into it, but you were given the freedom to do it all, and no one was saying, oh, going a bit far, this is a bit much, putting logos.
No, someone who should remain nameless did actually come and have a meeting with me and just say, can you stop having ideas? Someone actually did do that. And I was down for about a day, and I was like, no, jog on. And I just kept going. And it wasn't really their... Oh, I won't go into it, but they shouldn't have said it. It ain't their place. But you do think, oh, should I not be doing this? And it's like, no, I absolutely should be trying to get as many things in as I can. Like, you like Cyril's cereal box, Like, you said the Preox Milana, the guy eating the 5-sided noodles. I just did a 5-sided noodle pot. No one asked for a 5-sided noodle pot. But I just did them. And then when the director's like, oh, can they be eating from something? It's like, well, bosh, we've got a 5-sided noodle pot. And also on his desk, if you look really carefully, you'll see a little pyramid. And I actually did a blue milk pyramid and designed it in such a way that you could hold it in such a way and put a little straw in it and suck blue milk from the pyramid.
What, like a jubbly?
Yeah, it's basically like a Capri Sun of Star Wars.
Yeah.
I've actually got a prototype I'm actually looking at my desk right now.
That is awesome.
And then we made a few out of, plastic, and then made a few out of real hard plastic so they could take liquid. But it's on his desk if you look real careful. But no one asked for that stuff. You just kind of, wouldn't it be cool if? Because you get to world build.
Yeah.
And you just want to keep doing it.
While you're talking about world building and stuff, I mean, Ferrix is really heavily featured in these first 3 episodes. And it's an incredible feat that you built this whole set. How much time does that take? With how many what kind of size of workforce? So I was watching it today and I was just thinking,
interesting.
That must have taken ages to have got that spot.
Size of workforce, I'm not wise enough to tell you. I can tell you that because of COVID, I didn't go back till August the 3rd, I think it was. And I think, construction were probably about the same. And I think I think they were able to go back a little bit before that, actually, and start getting things done. I remember in walking the course with Luke, actually, and we were saying, this is how wide he was like, how wide's the road going to be? And we were like mapping it out, and putting down bits of steel for like, oh, this is where this shop's going to go. This is where this shop's going to go. So he had it all in his head. But I'm sure that was August, and we started shooting in Ferrix, I think in December.
Right.
They must have started getting a bit of a structure up. I think the back step structure went up first because that's massive, that big back step structure. But in terms of construction, forgive me. Anything I said would be a guess. I just don't know. There was always guys there. There's a lot of guys working. There's a lot of vehicles. There's a lot of people. I mean, the prop teams, the prop guys doing dressing and stuff. We probably had about 15 guys just from props. There was 2, 3 art directors over there. You've got, I think there were 8 prop painters, 3 scenic painters. Because there's, Dave was the main one. Who was more? Yeah, I can't think. There's just so many people. Set decorators. It was bonkers. You got the Sparks rigging all of our panels, but construction I didn't get there until construction was I was there before them and I was there after them. So I can't say. I'm so sorry. It's going to be a lot of people.
I suppose it's you don't really have those days when you're building something like that. When you wake up in the morning, and think, "Oh God, I've got work." You're like, "Wow, yeah, I'm going to go and build a massive drum." Oh, I'm excited.
I've got one quick question on Cyril before we do move on to the whole Ferrix thing, because Ferrix was absolutely the next area which I was going to go on to. So that's a really nice sort of segue, Stu. Thanks, mate. But the blue, right? The colour schemes and the colours throughout this, it's, you know, we're going to come on to Canary shortly, but then the colours in Ferrix, but you only got, from my point of view, you only got to see blue so much. It was a very much like a power colour, like a regal colour, like a class colour almost. There was a couple of blue sort of smatterings in Ferrix, not much at all. But then these corporate guards were blue. We've seen other guards in Star Wars, you know, blue. We've already mentioned those. But what, you know, later episodes, you see Mon Mothma, you see Mon Mothma's speeder, and there's a lot more blues in Coruscant. So was that anything associated with money or wealth or power or position, the colours in Andor?
Well, the colours are very carefully chosen, yes. I can't say if it was money. I think it's just... I don't remember anyone ever saying, you know, these guys have money, therefore it's like a royal blue. Potentially with the flags I did for Mon Mothma's embassy, that was a discussion. But no, honestly, I think the PMC is blue and orange, because I know they're Luke's favourite colours, and the early concepts I did was that, and then Michael ran with it, I think. But
so is it more environmentally? Is that the selection process?
Well, Luke just has it in his head. Like, he was clear no blue on Ferrix. Like you do have colour palettes, you know, that they go, right, these are the colours of this planet. These are the colours of this planet. These are the colours of this. Stick with this. So Ferrix was oranges and reds. Greens, I did have some pale greens in there, because I sort of was saying it's like the oxide on metal, you know, the patina on metal. So there's some bits of pale green, but generally it's reds and oranges. There is a smattering of blue, but everything had to be knocked right back.
Yeah.
There was one blue sign which I actually put up. It's like a little X thing, and I don't think Luke liked it in the end, but I'd already put it up.
Because there is that line, isn't there, when the corpos arrive, you know, towards the end of the arc, and they're going through, and someone turns around and says, "Oh, it's been a while since we've seen any blues here," and that, you know, they're referring to them as the colour, which, yeah, it was really quite striking to me. But no, brilliant.
And it does make them stand out, because they are the only thing there, and that is these people like Luke and Michael are that's how they think. You know, they are thinking 2 steps ahead.
Cool, nice. I guess my final one with regards to the Cyril and the whole interactions and with his apathetic team and his drive and his vision, but it's just that chief, his chief who he speaks to.
So good.
Van Sitar. I mean, the lines, that guy's got some of the best lines, I think. I mean, I know it's littered with great lines, but when he's like, what does he say? He says something like, "Stop. I don't mean the talking, I just mean stop." And he's just so weathered. And what is it? They died being helpful, something sad and inspiring in a mundane sort of way. He's just so good. I just think it's so wonderfully written. And the characters are really relatable. I think, you know, maybe it's because of the industry which I've been in, and, you know, really, really big, lots and lots of different people. But I just find these characters very, very quickly very relatable, and I just think it's brilliant. And it's characters that we got to see in Ferrix. So Ferrix Morlani system, the bulk of this first arc focuses on the sort of mundane drudgery of life on this tough industrial world. Now, this is probably linked to that article which I read where it was like, it's just about people going about their business. The only light relief for these people may be a stashed bottle of nog or a late night visit from a work colleague. Oi, oi.
Hello, Tim.
Yeah. There are potentially hints and echoes of our own earthly issues, with pensioners struggling to heat their dwellings, etc. But the characters who we're introduced to work are ordinary jobs. More enterprising ones have some dodgy side hustles, or maybe some multiple dodgy side hustles in Andor's case. We get to meet some incredible characters, and those who are nearest and dearest to Cassian, and hints of those he appears to have annoyed or wronged. Ferrix is a wonderful addition to the Star Wars world, and in my opinion, one of the strongest elements of the show. I mean, Stu, you were talking about Ferrix is quite clearly been something which you've enjoyed, or an element of Andor which you've taken a great deal from?
Yeah. Like I said, I was just sitting watching it today, and the more you watch it, the more you see.
Yeah.
It's just all the little bits around the town as well. It's just attention to detail. Love it.
There's so much stuff I wish you guys had seen. You can just see one little sign. Sorry, I don't know if I'm jumping at the wrong bit. I was just going to wax lyrical about some of the stuff we did.
Yeah, go for it.
There's a set of signs where I've painted the vehicle energizer tools on them, and I love it. There's
Nice.
the episode 1 communicator painting on a sign. Someone noticed that the other day, actually. But there's so much stuff on that set that you don't see.
Yeah.
But I'm glad that you're picking up on more of it.
The vehicle maintenance energizer. So yeah, this was one of the mini rigs which came out on the Kenner range in the 80s. Now, you've looked at that as a Star Wars fan and taken these tiny little tools which have been lost down the back of radiators and sofas and sucked up hoovers and stuff like that, and you've said, right, these tools, because they've got a place in the Star Wars world, have got a place on Ferrix, which, yeah, that is passion, that is love, that is brilliant.
I'm gutted we didn't see those. There's a shot he's walking at one, I think, when he's walking up the road, and he's walking, and then he just looks over his shoulder, and if the camera was an inch higher and an inch to the right, you'd see one of them. We never saw Baz's droid shop. That's going to haunt me.
Baz's droid shop. So
yeah,
written in your own language.
In Baz's droid shop, in Baz's, and with like the head of R5D4 painted on it in red.
Oh,
so
is there any photos anywhere of that? Does anything exist of it?
Yeah, but it's all archive stuff now.
Yeah.
Okay.
But you know the shop that's got the droid sign that's being held by 2 C-3PO arms or protocol droid arms?
I've missed that.
I'll
have to watch it again now.
That's in the app. When Bix comes down some stairs, you'll see it just above her head on the right. But you see that a few times outside the droid shop. That's Baz's droid shop.
Okay.
And that was one of those weird ones where we just found we found a box of protocol droid arms.
As you do.
Yeah. So because originally I was drawing it up to be R2 unit legs. I don't know why I had it in my head of R2 unit legs would be a perfect thing to hang a sign off of. And I went looking, and then I found this box of protocol droid arms. I was like, right, well, I don't have to design it. We've just done it. We did the metal bit, and then a prop guy, Ben, and me just held it all together.
How does that work? Sort of like a box of protocol droid arms. So is that stuff that's been bought over or been bought out of storage, or has that been made specially for? Right. Okay.
No, there's a lot of storage, and it's tough. We shouldn't talk about at the beginning. It should be at the end. But at the end of a job, they functionally have to make a calculation about what do we keep, what do we throw, because there's a cost involved with keeping.
Yeah.
But are you rebuilding Ferrix, or did you rebuild Ferrix for Andor 2? Or did we not go back there?
I'm not allowed to talk about season 2.
Yeah, no. Sorry. I realised that as I was asking.
All I can tell you, Stu, is that Marlow is still an abandoned plot of land that's now owned by Thames Water.
But if they've got a set, they could build it anywhere, couldn't they?
Well,
if
yeah.
they can't use that, they could just stick it anywhere. My garden's available. Although I think it's very large, wasn't it?
Nice try.
But I've lost my train of thought now. What are we talking about?
Can I just pause
We're talking about props.
Because you mentioned Baz's. Now, I know what Baz's is. Dan knows what Baz's is. Stu knows what Baz's is. But there's the potential that some of our listeners aren't aware what Baz's is. So please, can you explain, mate? This is your creation.
Well, in conjunction with the master, that is Ralph McQuarrie, because I was on the archive one day, as you are, and I found a little block of art that he did, and it just said under it, Huttese. And it wasn't a lot, it was just like a block. So I was like, oh my gosh, that's brilliant. And I was like, well, I reckon I could take a few elements of this and then make it, an A, B, C, D, E analogous sort of thing. I could actually do this. And I thought, well, is anyone going to stop me? So I was like, well, let's do it and see. And no one stopped me. So went to talk to Luke, said, right, I've got this. And that the idea was that it's an alphabet, just A, B, C, D, you know, so we can break it all down and translate. But it actually is meant to look like a pattern. Mm-hmm. So it's actually on the bell tower hoarding, it's on every building, and a bunch of people have started breaking it all down. The other day, a guy called Christian, who's very good at breaking this stuff down, sent me, he says, I've just deciphered that you've put on the droid shop, we have the droids you're looking for in Bazis. And I was like, well done. Well, no one else has spotted that. Well played. But it just runs as a pattern. There's no like a full stop or there's no break. So it doesn't look like words. It doesn't look like a sentence. It just looks like a pattern.
So you have created an alternative in-universe alphabet to Aurebesh.
Yes. Well, the idea was that Ferrix is fiercely independent and it's been going a long time. So I don't know, Aurebesh has been going a long time, but the idea is they had their own, in my head canon, they had their own language. And so I'd sit down with Luke and go, right, I think they've had their own language. This is a thing. And there's the Imperials are coming in as there's more contact with the Imperials. Aurebesh is painted over the top. So there's a few signs that have both of it. So the Gavelox communications sign, which is the place where Tim goes to put his call in, I did that as the Rosetta Stone. That was done deliberately to have Aurebesh and Bazis next to each other to give people a chance to translate it.
Fantastic.
And they did quickly. There's a guy on Twitter called Orek Fonts, and he just did it. I think it came out that night. He was like, yeah, I've got it.
Wow.
But there's a couple of letters they don't have, and I don't feel I'm allowed to share it. But I made sure every letter was on the signs, but we just, you know, you just don't see them all, you know?
Yeah.
But yeah, it's just a pattern based on some Ralph McQuarrie art that turned into a font that is a thing.
Well, congratulations. I mean, there's clearly loads to see, loads which unfortunately we didn't get to see, loads which is sort of, you know, loads of things which are under our very eyes, but we just haven't noticed them yet. But from things that we have noticed, I mean, right at the very beginning, when you know, see Ferrix and you've had that lovely sort of scan through as you're introduced to that wonderful character, B2EMO, the droid who unfortunately gets peed on by a sort of scrapyard dog. Yeah, just from everything, the vastness of that set is just brilliant. But I mean, before we go on, B2EMO, I mean, what a droid.
I think you said it on the last episode, Baz. The merchandising got well missed on that, and
absolutely.
I don't know, who wouldn't love a remote-controlled, app-controlled B2EMO? Be superb. Could have his little charging point that he parks up in and comes and purrs at your leg. Brilliant.
I love him. He is just so expressive and so it's just so lovable. The whole fact that, you know, it takes him extra power to lie, and then when he's asked to lie, he actually corrects and says, "No, that's 2 lies. That's even more power." You know, he's clearly,
so
yeah. It's and the relationship which he's showing. You know, the clear partnership between Cassian and B is just brilliant. I'm really impressed with how they've portrayed that, and I think they've portrayed that better than most other human or principal characters and their droids in the past. It's a better relationship than Luke and R2. It's a partnership so much more than anything I've seen. I think it's really on the money.
And I think I mean, Barry, you won't be able to comment on this, but Andor's obviously got an affinity for droids, and obviously that's going to be reflected at some point with K2SO. So maybe it's that relationship's just going to grow. Something's going to happen to B2EMO, I reckon. Maybe he's got K2SO's brain, or K2SO's got his brain. I don't know. We'll see. Bit like what was the droid in Solo that got plugged into the Falcon?
Oh, L3.
Yeah.
Here you go. Right, here's one for you, Baz. Right, because be prepared to have your mind blown, or possibly I might have already told you this, so therefore it might not be blown. but obviously L3 goes into the Falcon. You know, the droid gets blown up, and they put the sort of nav computer to the Falcon. Now, L3 in the Falcon, there are 3 L's in Millennium Falcon.
Oh, I did not know that. I hadn't clocked that at all.
It's probably just a massive coincidence, but you know, these things come to me, and
I like it.
And I don't know what to do with that energy. I really, really don't. Just passing it on to you. But you're right. It's good, that sort of whole partner affiliation with droids or without. You know, we've got Andor as a loner who likes to hang around a little bit more or trusts and partners with droids. Mandalorian, initially, no droids. So we do see a bit of a difference there.
I've just put the droid shot picture into the chat.
Oh.
I found it on, I think it's Wikipedia, where they're just saying unidentified droid shop. That is actually Baz's droid shop.
Nice.
And you can just see there's 2 protocol droid arms holding the droid store sign.
Yes.
But up on that is hand painted Baz's droid shop. Just can't see it.
That's so much fun.
That sign's going to be. I always love that sign. We put that up in the snow, in the dark, with like using phone lights. It was bonkers on a wobbly ladder. But yeah, loved it.
Oh mate, lads, there's a whole podcast we could dedicate and more just to Ferrix, but there was so much to see that, but the characters as well. It's, you know, we've spoken about B2 a little bit, but you know, we get to quite quickly see Brasso. Now in the last episode, you said that Brasso would be the guy you'd want to be, you know, going for a drink with and everything, because I think we can.
Yeah, definitely.
He's the man.
Whatever this is, when it's done, pull your boots on and get to work. You look like a wreck.
I knew I could count on you.
I'm not lending you any money.
I knew that too.
Tell your mother she can afford to put the heating on. It was freezing there last night.
He's just a big hunk of love, isn't he, really? But
Great to see him in the little spilled thing today, flying out. He reminded me a bit like Ezra moving away from those pod things and flying through the fields on that great big speeder.
I do like that scene when Cassian's looking for some cover when he gets back there and he goes to see him, and he kind of, Brasso invents this whole story about you came to see me and you're a bit drunk and you fell out of your chair and etc. It's the, you know, I've got the dialogue in front of me, but it's exceptional. It's quite humorous and funny. You can see this isn't the first time that they've had to cover for each other.
No. How many times have I done that for you when Emma's about?
Never. You grass me up all the time.
It's really quickly established friendship, so isn't it? It's just like, look, you know, do this, do that. You haven't thought about this. Extra cover story, tell your mum to put your heating on. But he's also given him a, look, mate, for God's sake, pull yourself together. You look like a state. Sort yourself out. And you don't want much more from a mate, do you, really? I guess it's just, he just seems that he's in good company there.
Yeah. And he looked good in the trailer for season 2.
Yeah, he does. Now, is that? Yeah. Well, I'm not going to ask any more about season 2. No, we're going to move on from that. But who else have we got then? So I don't know. What other characters are we introduced to in sort of Ferrix, that whole area?
Well, Marva.
What a lady! What an absolute just powerhouse of a woman. But yeah, Marva's ace. Don't get to see her in the first episode, do you? It's only in the second one that you see Marva for the first time.
Yeah, I think so.
They've all bled together in my mind. I couldn't tell you what, to be honest with you. I think of it as one story, but yeah, she's excellent. Yeah, I mean, the actress has been loads of stuff, hasn't she, over the years? I think the first thing I remember her being in was 3 Men and a Little Lady.
Oh, really?
I remember going to cinema to see that in whenever it was, early 90s. Yeah, with Tom Selleck and Steve Guttenberg. She's in that. She's the one that yeah, she's all over Tom Selleck in that film. But yeah, she's a really good actress. I think she's been in Bad Sisters I've been watching recently. She was in that too, and obviously Killing Eve. She was a big part of that too. But yeah, she's superb in it. She really is. I mean, we'll talk to her loads more as we get towards the end and some of her scenes there. But even in these early scenes, she's got something about her, isn't she? She's clearly
so well cast,
driven, and yeah, very protective of Cassian.
Yeah. I just love it when it comes out about, they're searching for a canary male. He eventually gets home after sort of being out on the town and nicking all of his stuff and getting into trouble. And she's just like waiting up for him. And she's like, read it to him, B. And and B sort of stutters, can I talk now? And she's just like, read it. And then he talks about it, and then she's having a massive go at him and talking about, why have you, who have you told? It's all these women I'm worried about, like really scolding him. Bastards. And she's swearing away. What have you done? I've messed up, is what he says.
That was a great little set as well. That little house. Really good. With the opposite the tea shop, which on a wide shot you can see is actually called Nicola's Tea Shop, because my wife is called Nicola.
Brilliant. Well, we can see it if we read Baz's, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Brilliant.
And there's Baz's around the window as well. I can't remember what I said. Something like that, like, we have delicious muffins. Come try them, or something. I can't remember what I wrote. Something silly about muffins and cupcakes or something, or pastries. I don't remember.
Do you just spend most of your time just chuckling to yourself?
Yeah.
You just there
but see,
can you just read this stuff? Do you like when you watch it back and you see this stuff on the screen? Are you like the Matrix and you're just reading it? Like Bazzy's fluently.
I did, and then I've forgotten it. Aurebesh, I'm fine, but Bazzi's, I've sort of forgotten it. I'm gonna have to get it back in my brain. But I will never do something flippant, Yeah. Like, I'm never going to put, like, Leia, Luke, and Han Yub-Nub in Bazzi's around the window or something. That's not, what they did in Mandalorian in the episode with Christopher Lloyd, when they put on the screen, like, oh, if you can read this, you're a nerd or something because you've translated Aurebesh. It's like, what? Are you high? Like, what were you playing at? That was so disrespectful.
Yeah.
So I'm up for a little Easter egg, but never flippancy.
Yeah. So you've not sailed too close. You've not done something and then someone's looked at you sort of over their glasses and gone, Baz, really? You've managed to avoid that. Oh, well, good for you. Probably.
Yeah, I'm not trying to be clever is not the right word, because I am trying to be clever.
You're not going for cheap gags, are you?
Yes, thank you.
Yes, cheap shots.
Yeah.
I'm not going for the cheap shot. I'm going for a blow that's going to land.
Absolutely.
Or just name the tea shop after my wife.
Yeah.
That's nice too. There's a tradition of that in Star Wars, isn't it? And didn't one of the guys that sculpted the Dagobah playset, isn't his daughter's name carved into that?
Yeah, I think so. That's really fun.
Yeah. So Ferrex is awesome. We got to see some fantastic characters. We mentioned Brasso, we mentioned Marvel. We've got B2, Emo, but we've got Bix. There's Tim, and then from the other end, we've got Pegler in the yard. What in the name of Chob is going on? He gets yelled at, but also there's great little thing. Nurchi and Vetch. Like, Vetch is that huge, big sort of hulking guy who's just, whoa, you told me just to stand here.
Yeah. So that shot of him when they're looking back at him, if he wasn't there, you'd see Baz's droid shot.
That is outside the droid shot. Okay.
Right. It's that. Well, it's actually it's further down the steps, but it's such a high angle shot because he's so tall that you caught the droid shot, the top of the droid shot. But he's blocking it. Every time I watch it, I'm like, move out of the way. Sorry.
No, don't. Please don't apologise. Please don't apologise at all. It's all great. We want to know more, and we want to. Talk about this all night. What I do love is Tim, right? So Tim obviously working with Bix, and clearly there's a bit of sort of love triangle going on there, which is sort of slightly intonated, but Tim isn't happy. Tim's not happy that clearly there's a bit of previous with with Andor, but the whole thing about, I find it really refreshing how little Cassian cares about upsetting people in some respect. It goes back to that whole thing we said at the beginning about him being the bad boy, because Tim says something along the lines of, you know, she's upset, she gets upset every time she's with you, and you know, she's a bit wound up, and he just says something along the lines of, well, you know, maybe you need to find yourself a less complicated woman, and just walks off. Good luck with that, and then walks off. And it's just really refreshing that he just doesn't care. He cares about those he loves, but everything else he doesn't care about. So he's not invested in anything, which shows his transition and his journey. What Luthen ultimately does is so much bigger for it.
And maybe that's why. I mean, you know, you mentioned earlier about whether or not his sister would appear in season 2, and maybe she's just a red herring. He's just looking for something to keep him busy, to give him some purpose. Because even I think Marv says to him before he leaves at the end of the episode, "Stop looking for your sister," or something like that, doesn't she? She actually tells him to stop looking. So maybe you won't ever hear or find out what happened to his sister.
Yeah. Do you know what? That's a great opportunity then to go on to one of the other areas I was going to talk about, which was, you know, all these flashbacks to Kenari. I think, you know, are really, really worthwhile. You know, and they're some really, really well shot flashbacks. We've seen flashbacks quite popular in the past, in, you know, in Star Wars, more recently, Book of Boba Fett, where they've to aid the viewer, they made them sort of black and white or sepia or whatever tone it was. It certainly wasn't colour, but, you know, to help the viewer. There was none of that. It was just flashback. I think it was quite clearly signposted when you had B2 Emo saying Cassian, and then he changed to Casa, and then you saw the young girl Kerry. You know, that was quite clearly helpful, very clever from that point of view. But Kenari, you know, we had several flashbacks throughout all of this, throughout the 3 episodes. Principally, you know, this tribal group of young kids looking up and seeing the spaceship crash in, and then setting off on some sort of scavenging hunt whilst they adorn themselves with some, you know, face paint and bits and pieces, going off to find the ship, and then having the fact that, you know, one of them was killed by a sort of partially survived survivor who was soon to be very nearly dead survivor, and then for Casa, as a young Cassian, to go investigating on this ship, taking out his anger. However, not the only person on the ship at the time, because Marva, and a very young Marva and a young Clem, Marva's quite clear partner, Clem Andor, were there searching for bits and pieces. They see young Casa and are quite concerned that actually people are going to put 2 and 2 together, and Casa's likely to become a victim of circumstance, so Marva decides to take him with them, whether he likes it or not. Now, clearly, initially he didn't, so we'll scoot over the kidnapping, maybe some sort of mercy kidnapping, but Casa clearly becomes Cassian and takes on the family name, and the show explains it from that point onwards. Casa from Kenari becomes Cassian Andor from Fest. But I thought there were some really well shot, really, really clever scenes in Kenari in episodes 1, 2 and 3. Did you have much to do with those?
A little bits and bobs. So the ship was one of Mark Harris's sets, who I think I mentioned last week. So when Mark does a set, he does a lot of stuff himself, and we basically helped him by sticking some vinyls on some plastic. That's pretty much all we did in that ship. And it had to be this. The thing they always talked about with that ship was that scene where he sees himself in the mirror. That was the money shot, because the idea was he'd never seen himself, because we don't actually know what happened to their parents. We don't know where they are. We don't know why it's just kids. They never explain it. But he's grown up like that, and he's never seen his face. Like, that whole thing was a big deal. So this like polished plastic had to all be done. So Mark pretty much did all that. But the base, me and my buddy Matt Hindle actually spent the afternoon out dressed in wigwams. we actually we kind of said that it was like a mine, because it's mining, you know, it's obviously a miners thing. So we did loads of packets, plastic packets for like mining equipment, or I can't remember what we did, like cement and food and clothing and whatever. And we just made all the packets and then ripped them to pieces to then wrap around the wigwams that the props guys had built. But you don't actually see them really on camera very much. Okay. But there's logos and text and a whole bunch of stuff that the kids have like built their little wigwams from.
And when you're making this stuff, are you given? Because obviously, I think there's some backstory that's been given now, you know, some Wikipedia and things like that. But are you kind of given the brief that, I don't know, a load of kids they're only survivors on this planet because there's been a mining disaster or something, or because they're very tribal, aren't they? They live in like Lord of the Flies style. Was that the brief that was there any background given on how they got there and why they were there?
There's the script. It actually did change actually initially. The director actually was like, I actually don't think it would be what you've said it is. I think it would be something different. It should be this. So things did change. So we are involved in the conversations, and it quite often people don't come to you with stuff, so you do have to ferret this information out and, you know, go and talk to people like, hey, what's this, what's that, why is this, why is that? And sometimes the information's available and sometimes it's not, and that sometimes it's you go to the production designer, sometimes it's a director, sometimes it's a script editor. If you can't get to the script writer, they have a script editors on jobs who's sort of like a bridge between us and them, you know. But I do try and get as much info as I can for headcanon to then make it make sense. And a lot of departments don't care if it makes sense. You know, like the sound guys don't care, the camera guys don't care. You know, I'm not having a slight on them. It doesn't alter their job. But our job, specifically graphics, we do need to know the detail and the minutiae, because quite often you are making these little things that are exposition or detail or moving on the story in, you know, I'm not building the part, but it's just they sort of go, oh, how can we convey this information? Oh, we'll convey it with a this or a that, and it'll be a graphic. So you do try and be across it all. You know, the little things like when you on a regular movie, when you're making a driver's license, you know, it's the details of, well, where were they born? How old are they?
Yeah.
You know, the little things that no one else cares about, you care about.
And I suppose that's where you get the opportunity as well to put your own, like with creating Bazzies or putting your wife's name above a shop, and then it becomes part of the story as well. Yeah, or at least the I don't know, it's the story, but the bits around it, the bits that make it up. And probably they might do a side story on Nicola's Bakery at some point, and
well, that's it. I mean,
she might get an action figure before you, Baz.
So what someone said to me back on my very first job, an art director said to me that, because I was struggling with this notion of we do all this stuff and no one cares, no one sees it, it's not relevant, right? And on my first job many moons ago, the art director said to me, it's not actually about if we see it or not. You're trying to help the actor feel part of that world. So if they're reading this police report that I've spent ages writing and getting it to look right, but they're reading it, the camera's pointing at the back of the white bit of paper, it doesn't matter, because the actors looked at it and helped them feel like they're the police officer reading it.
Yeah.
And I've, since, you know, this was like literally my first job in like week 2 or whatever, and I've taken that on board. And when you're doing Star Wars, you just take it to the next level where you're like, Luke's building these worlds, Michael's putting him in these costumes, and we're doing these little minutiae details to try and make them feel part of it. Like, I always think there's a little thing I was asked to do, and I thought, we'll never see it, but I'm doing it. In Tim's apartment, he's actually got a takeaway menu. And I did it out of cut it out of metal, and just did a clear vinyl sticking like a menu over the top. And I just wrote it out like a kebab shop, like my favourite kebab shop, and just used the menu like that. And it's just sitting there on his kitchen counter. But you'll never see it. But when Tim's in there, it's all helping to build his little apartment, helping that actor feel like he's Tim and he's in that world and he's living in it. Yeah. So that is an element of it that you do have to take on board. And the more detail you have, the more knowledge you have, the better you can execute that.
Did he have any calf?
I think he did, yeah.
Good Bix is after some for sure.
And
mate,
I was going to say, and on Canary, then going back to Canary just quickly, is that so? Obviously, I mean, when you're watching it, you kind of, I did anyway. I didn't really think much to, well, when is this happening? But this is actually, I think it's just after the Clone Wars, or it's
it's pretty much, yeah. It's a tough one because they've got like the Separatist logo on them, haven't they? And I'm not sure if that. I wasn't involved in that. Is all.
I was going to say, did you get involved in any of going back to some of that old stuff? Because I think when Clem dies, that's the first year of Imperial rule, so that's just after Revenge of the Sith. So this would have been, going back into the Clone Wars or earlier. So I just wondered whether or not you got much involved with pulling out some of the old stuff to do with that.
No, I did do a timeline for people because people were struggling. Because you have to remember, there's not everyone's like us. There's a bunch of muggles, So to them, they don't understand that a clone trooper isn't a stormtrooper.
Right.
So I did actually do timelines that I then stuck up in people's offices, of like, with a clear line of like these are the movies, these are the characters, this is when you had clone troopers, and I can use pictures. Here's a hard line. And now we've got the Emperor, we've got Darth Vader, we've got Stormtroopers. So people could understand. It's like, this is where this happens in our story. This is where this happens in our story. So people could understand it.
Yeah.
But no, other than that, no. Like, I did talk about certain things and was in meetings and to try and be the resident nerd, which is how I got to be Anto Kreegyr, quite frankly. But they've got Pablo, and all the scripts are run past him.
Yeah.
To check if it makes sense or this or that. And there was a couple of things where I was like, they wouldn't say that. They wouldn't say that. Like, they talk about the toilet, and I was like, it should have been the refresher. And they're talking about inches, and I'm like, well, actually, they should be metric because Luke Bullseye's a womp rat. That's not much bigger than 2 meters. And they were like, well, it's been through Pablo. He said it's okay. Who are you? And I'm like, fair play. I ain't Pablo.
Unleashing your inner nerd. So you mentioned clone troopers there as well. Just jump forward to that. So was that? Did you do any changes to Ferrex for that scene when the clone troopers were marching through? Was there any specific differences you made to show the difference in the timeline, or was Bazzy still Bazzy's?
No, well, Bazzy's has been around for thousands of years, so that was still there. I don't think we did do much changing. I'm sure that was a discussion,
right?
But I don't think we did much different at all. I think it was just they just go on as they have done. There's no real difference, It just is what it is.
Yeah.
I tell you, there's one little clone trooper thing we never saw, but I'll save that if we get onto that set. Actually,
okay.
That's called a bit of a bait and switch type thing. Hook and tease.
Nice. Well, don't forget.
I won't forget. But no, those clone troopers are great.
Okay. Baz, you spoke earlier on about when young Casa is kind of freaking out in the ship because he sees his reflection for the first time. Now, I have heard that before, but at the same time, I've also heard about people saying, well, hang on a second, he's living by a lake. Now, am I right in thinking that the water in the lake isn't... he wouldn't be able to see his reflection in the water as we would do here? Was there a thought behind that? Because surely he would have been able to see his reflection in the water?
Go and talk to Tony.
Roger that, okay.
I don't know. I mean, it's not going to be as crystal clear, is it? Let's leave it at that, I suppose.
It did look a bit dirty to me, but yeah.
Well, yeah.
If they've had some sort of, environmental disaster, I don't imagine that the water is heavy in that lake for sure. But, yeah.
But no, I mean, I think that's an excellent point, but I can't speak to it, I'm afraid. I just remember that whole reflection thing was such a big deal. It was like the first concept of that ship that I remember seeing had him, looking into that mirror like, oh my gosh, and it was a big deal.
Yeah, absolutely. Like, you might see, Kitten completely freaked out when it looks in the mirror for the first time at home. And you're just like, oh, look at that, that's fun. While you're scaring the bejesus out of your young cat.
That ship, Mark did such a good job. You could actually walk round that ship quite a bit. but you didn't get that from the. I would hate people to think it was like a bit of flattage. Do you know what I mean?
Right.
There was corridors, and you could actually walk round in a loop around that, and then in a side corridor. It was such a good little set. I felt like I was in a spaceship when I was in it.
We need a Star Wars world like Harry Potter world, don't we? You know, one of those Warner Brothers studios which you can go to. Pinewood just need to find a location where they can say, right, let's just put all this stuff there that we don't need, and even if we do need it, maybe we can come back and borrow it again. But this stuff needs to be seen. It belongs in a museum.
It's so good.
Stuff I loved about the whole Canary thing, you know, Tony's writing or whatever. We didn't have any subtitles. They were speaking their own language. There's the humans, or Canary males, Canary females, speaking their own language. But we didn't need it. We didn't need anything being translated. And again, when he's there and he's looking out over that huge, big industrial mining area, the huge quarry or whatever, you know, the abandoned quarry, and you see mechanical bits and pieces with moss on or aged and weathered, and that shows time without any information, without any mansplaining, whatever. I think it was great. But what I loved about the whole tribal thing, to give it that tribal aspect, you know, there was the face painting, but they had intricate bracelets and necklaces and wall paint. Now I understand that that's more costume than anything, but you've already explained that you've been involved with costumes with, you know, the Cyril's uniform. Did you have much to do with bracelets and necklaces and bits?
No, not at all. That's all Michael and his team. You know, he's got such a good team. And I don't know if people like think about it with costume, but they've, you know, you've got Michael, you've got supervisors, you've got buyers, you've got makers, you've got breakdown artists, which I don't think people recognise they have, but they're like buy something, and then breakdown artists sit there destroying it and painting it and making it look used. They're so good. Yeah, he's got his own little concept art. He had 2 concept artists as well. It's like a full-on. That department was a proper costume department, and it shows. The work is great.
But no, costumes? I mean, when you look at their costumes, I mean, lads, I don't know if you picked up on what they were wearing or how their costumes have been constructed.
Yeah, they're miners' uniform. They were adult clothes, weren't they? They were all wearing clothes that were a bit big for them, I think, was the.
Yeah, I mean, so I saw some minor stuff, but I also saw sort of almost repurposed make do and mend type stuff. To me, it looked like, there's a bit of quilting, possibly from vehicle seating or from something. It looked like a load of, right, this is hunter-gatherer, this is what we've managed to get together, and we've fashioned some clothes for us because there's no shops, there's nothing else. We are surviving here, and it was a combination in my sort of viewing of boiler suits and sort of just surviving.
I mean, what else can they do? Kids alone on a planet.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
But it was
the very Lost Boys, Lord of the Flies type.
Yeah, Lord of the Flies.
Yeah, totally. Yeah. It just completely added to it, and I just thought it was ace. You know, when they were communicating prior to the crash site, again, they weren't talking; they were using sort of primitive tongue clicks and stuff like that. It was just really, really believable. Everything about this, and the more I watch it, and this is where I might sort of, you know, appeal to people who have might seen it. And there are a few people out there who are like, no, it's a bit slow for me, or didn't get this, didn't get that. Maybe, as we said, because of the drops or how things were released. But each and every time I've gone back to watch it, I've picked up more and more and more. And I'm going to be looking for Bazzies now for sure. But yeah, just thought it was ace. Which then leads us on to the sort of the crescendo, the final element. You know, we've called this arc the recruitment arc, and it is the whole recruitment which made the real sort of, you know, the 3rd episode. Because I haven't spoken to him, I haven't spoken about him up until now, but in the shadows there's been a man who's been lurking, a secret man, someone Bix has been in secret comms with, and Cassian has heard about. This all comes to a head during the 3rd episode, The Reckoning. Andor has got this stolen Imperial Starpath unit. which they just mention. You know, we've got no idea what these things are, but you know, you kind of get the impression that it's a big deal. He's got this Star Party unit and he wants to flog it. He's been hoarding it, saving it for a rainy day, and now, because of all the trouble, all the issues with the, you know, these murders, the fact that he's a wanted man, it's time to cash it in. So Bix arranges a meet-up just as the Corpo team of enthusiastic amateurs rock up at Ferrix. Luthen, though, the secret man, Luthien, isn't there just for the high-prized Star Path unit, because he senses something special in Cassian. He's impressed with how Cassian has got it, how Cassian's got this ability to slip through the Imperial defences, and so therefore he tries to seduce this troubled man to join the rebel cause. We love seducing people in Star Wars, don't we? But during this wonderfully written piece of sort of social intercourse between the two of them, the team of Corpo security guards have tracked Andor, triggering a gunfight and their subsequent escape, all whilst the people of Ferrix react to the blue uniformed officers being in their town by sending a message, a warning to all within earshot by banging metal on metal. Massively intimidating, very intimidating for the Corpo crew. Cassian and Luthen flee the Corpo security goons in their effort to track Cassian down, and with a great scene involving explosives and deception. There's death, there's bravery, there's cowardice, there's trickery. It's an emotional roller coaster for all. And the third episode's final moments sees Cassian fleeing Ferrix with Luthen. We see the aftermath of what has happened with the characters who we've gotten to know as they demonstrate a wide range of emotions. Cyril looks utterly shell-shocked, confused. You've got a tearful Bix mourning Tim's death. Brasso looks sad with a drink in his hand, and a freezing Marva sits with B in her cold apartment. And what range of emotions is she feeling? Such a powerful, really well shot final scene to that arc, which just, you know, taking Andor onto his next element of his journey.
There's a lot to unpack there, Jess.
There is, isn't there? There is.
I mean, start with Luthen. I mean, you know, it's a great introduction to the character. That conversation he has with Cassian in that warehouse. It's a standout moment for the trailer, isn't it? I think we spoke about it previously when he says about they're so fat and satisfied, and the way that he says that it's a great, you know, so many great monologues, but it's another one of those excellent ones. And he talks about how he sneaks around and he manages to, you know, he can put on a suit and get a tool bag and just do whatever he wants. No one cares. And I think, yeah, Luthen's like, geez, this is my man. I need this guy. And yeah, it goes on from there. I mean, that scene in that warehouse as well, when the security guards do arrive, is brilliant, with all the way that they've got all that equipment falling from the ceiling with all those chains. I don't know if you can tell us much about that, Baz, if you're involved much with that, but that was a fantastic set.
Yeah, brilliant, and that practical as well, with the things moving and rushing and boshing. So early doors, I sat down with Luke, and it was actually very different. It was jam packed, full of old TIE fighter parts, and we were working out like a pathway on the floor with maybe what do hazard stripes look like in Star Wars, and trying to do that. And they had this massive flag, which I think I spoke about the other day.
Yeah, that
was hanging around the door, and it was cut to fit around the door. And they used that shape. They used my flag shape actually as the badge shape. The door. They have that little medal that's about, not medal, but about 7-8 inches tall that they wear on their chests. That was functionally a mini flag. And then the director came in and was like, no. And he had this vision for it, which was like, I want it empty, I want it this, I want it that. And then everything was sort of removed. So once that happened, our involvement vanished, and then SFX came in and stunts, and they just had this whole thing planned with everything spinning and flying and pulling, and what a great set piece, right?
What was that meant in practical terms? What was that meant to be then? Is that like where they hoist up ship parts to repair them or strip them down?
Absolutely correct. I think, yeah, it is I think, if memory serves, it's actually like the wing strut of a TIE fighter.
Right, okay. Okay.
If you look careful.
I'll have to look careful next time.
Hmm.
I'll have to watch it again. But I mean, is that, and where was that filmed? Is that in an actual because it looks like a legit warehouse, or was that on a soundstage?
No, that was S Stage at Pinewood.
Okay.
Yeah, good set, right?
Yeah, it's brilliant. Well lifting.
Yeah, well, and that's the thing. Like a bad set, is obvious to see. And sometimes I know I was on a job called Fortitude, and I think it should have won design awards, but people were like, "Well, you just shot it in Norway," and we're like, "No, that was a soundstage in West London." That what? Yeah, that bar and that hotel and all that fake snow. Yeah, that wasn't real, but people thought it was real, so just assumed it wasn't a good design job. If you know what I mean, it was just a location job.
I'm convinced that was Norway.
Well, most of it was, but there was a whole bunch of stuff that was on the soundstage with fake snow in the buildings, and
that was a great show. I like that.
I did season 1 of that, and designer was Gemma Jackson, and Luke was the art director. And then season 2, Luke got promoted to designer, so that was his first design gig, and I was working with him then. So we've been working together a while. But yeah, so that's the thing with Star Wars. That's never going to happen. Everyone knows it's fake, but they can think you've gone in and visual effects stuff or whatever. But no, that was a practically built set, beautifully lit, beautifully staged stunt sequence, and it all just looked great.
What is that? I put slap charges on the doors.
What? When?
Rule number 2, build your exit on your way in. Brace yourself.
Let's go. The box. We left the box. Go.
As you said, Dan, there's loads to unpick on this. From the acting, from the storytelling, from the stakes, everything. Everyone delivers. Everyone's turning up. From the pre-mod team flying in from space, and again, it's at times like that you're like, "Oh, we've not seen much space yet in Andor." That looks great. That looks really well done.
Good. That ship was good, and the tac pods were cool. I got to sort of say to VFX, there's the tac pods have a wing painting system which they stuck with.
Right.
So they're in Squadron 2. So I think on the left wing of every pod is 2 thick stripes, and on the right wing, from left to right, it's like 1 stripe, 2 stripe, 3 stripe, 4 stripe, 5 stripe.
Okay.
And then it was like working out which tac pod lands where, so VisFX knew what to paint on which tac pod at what point.
Wow.
But I don't know if anyone will notice.
But it did look like when I watched the first trailer and you see that, I think you see that ship and you're like, oh, Republic dropship. They look very much like that design. And there's a couple of ships that look like they're inspired by other Star Wars ships. I think that we skipped over the ship that Andor flies at the start. That's very much got Y-wing vibes to it.
I'm sure that was deliberate.
I think so too.
That was a discussion. No, that was a discussion. Yeah.
But that those scenes were great. Just seeing Cyril on that dropship. He's found Andor. He's pinned it down to Ferrix. He knows exactly where he's going. Tim's grassed him up. Bad Tim. And he's on his way. Now all of a sudden it's dawned on him, oh wow, I've agreed to go and do this now. I'm actually going down in the field. I'm on the ground, and you can see that he looks nervous whilst they're going in. There's loads of things, even when they land and people have seen it. Brasso just eyes up the ship that's just landed because he knows that there's trouble. He knows that Andor's in trouble. He's put 2 and 2 together, and lo and behold, later on when you see that ship dragging a huge piece of junk, which ultimately leads to the sort of crashing of that ship, I'm just there going, yeah, that's basic aircrew day one, week one, you've got to do a walk around of your aircraft before you take off. Quite clearly not done by that person.
But the tension builds so well during that, doesn't it? You just know that the reckoning's coming.
Yeah, because I think when we were going through each of the arcs in the last episode, Jez, you said about this one being the slowest, but this episode really gets into this build up, and you can feel the tension building, and even like when they're clanging the metal and hitting the pieces of metal together, you're like, oh, it's all going to go off in a minute.
Brilliantly written by Gilroy, when with the whole, Marv is saying something along the lines of, about, that's what I reckon it sounds like. It's when it stops is when you really need to worry. And
then it stops.
But then the thing is, what makes it worse is the deliberate lack of writing, because the guy's like, why? Well, what happens when it stops? She says nothing. She just looks knowingly, sort of smiling, going, you wait, son. And then it stops, and then it all kicks off. You're absolutely right. The tension just building, but it's so real, because you just think about history, when communities have quickly needed to communicate something, be it banging on bins, be it various different things. You see it Western society, you see it in Africa, wherever, communities who quickly aren't happy with what's going on and they need to communicate, be it burning tires or something or other. And that's what this community of ferrics have done, is they are happy. They have their ferrics, they have their sisters of ferrics, they have everything, daughters of ferrics, they have everything there. And now these people have landed and they're going through there and they don't like it. They're clearly after one of their people, so let's just warn everyone. And the shutters come down, and I think it's so believable.
There's actually so I can't remember off the top of my head, and I probably shouldn't say it, but on the bell tower, I had painted a sort of mantra, like, if the bell rings once, it's like time to get up. If the bell rings twice, it's like the end of your day's toil. Like, but well written. I just can't remember it at the minute. But then I did something about, like, if there's like like the alarm sound, we'll take arms, or something. Like, if there's banging, take arms. I can't remember, but it's actually painted on the bell tower, like the warning. You have to have a look at the bell tower hoarding, and you'll see white bazik painted all the way around, and that's what that is.
Wow.
You're going to have me watching this with a pen and paper next time, trying to write all this stuff down and taking screenshots. Awesome. That's the only trouble with Disney Plus, isn't it? They don't let you take screenshots on your phone. You just get a black picture.
You can do it on your computer if you turn off your graphic accelerator.
Oh, thank you. Pro tip.
Talking to me like I know what one of those is.
I think it's just a setting in Chrome.
Right. But all right. So before we conclude, as you said, there's loads. We could have easily done a deep dive into each and every episode, but I don't want to do that. Other podcasts have done that. We just regurgitating the whole thing. The whole point of this is just to openly talk about it, for Baz to give us the benefits of his involvement, wisdom, knowledge. But I don't think we can go without just talking about the conversations, the writing, the talk between Luthen and Andor in that building, which we've already spoken about, with everything cooking off and swinging everywhere. Some of those lines and some of those, is anything in particular which is sort of struck a chord with people, or people just think, do you know what, that's good? Or
I think he's been watching, he's aware of him, which I think is interesting.
Like, I've already told you I think he's a Jedi. On the last one, I'm sticking with it. More
so he's known about Cassian, so it's like, is that because Bix has told him? Has he done something else? Like, I'm sort of interested in that. It's like, we're getting a prequel series to sort of answer the questions, but there's always more questions, right?
Yeah. but I just think he's got connections everywhere, you know. So we learn later on, you know, he's linked to Vel, you know, he's got Cleo, he's got all these different things, and he just hears stuff because he's at the centre of the web. And at the moment, we're only looking at a couple of strands of the web, aren't we? You know, the rebellion is far more than just one person, but yeah, he's clearly interested. But you know, it's those lines about, you know, fat and satisfied, and the two of them.
Oh yeah, so good.
Growing closer through their mutual dislike of the Imperials. And he's like, you know, don't you want to stick one in their eye and stuff? And he's just, yeah, you're just walking like you belong. And yeah, it's just really, really powerful. As I think you said the other day, Dan, that some of those lines you just stick with you, don't they? The pockets of fomenting and all those things. Probably because we saw the trailers over and over and over again.
But I mean, I know we've gone. I know we've already gone through it, but you mentioned about banging the metal, but what happens after that with the way that they? And I think it's safe to say Andor would have been caught had Luther not been there, but they just hand the pre-more, or what they call the pre-more security guards just get their arses handed to them, and it's just carnage afterwards. They're just in disbelief. Yeah. These two guys have escaped.
It's just so well done, isn't it? That they think it's an easy thing to do. They think, you know, organising some sort of grand manoeuvre like that is just straightforward, and no, it's quite clearly not. And
it does make you wonder if Luther hadn't been there, because obviously the one guy, I think it's the guy that kills Tim, the security guard. He gets sent back to the ship, and when he takes off, they've tied his ship to. I can't quite remember what it gets tied to, but when he lifts the ship, he ends up crashing.
Some sort of macro.
Yeah, and he ends up crashing the ship. So they're obviously prepared to, you know, the population of Ferrix are prepared to, you know, take these guys out. If they had tried to arrest Andor, how they would have reacted to that, and what would have gone down there. But we never found out because Ethan saved him. But they're clearly prepared to fight, I think, is the message that you get loud and clear in that episode.
What does that mean?
What is all this? Intimidation, sir. Bluff and bluster.
That speeder gets blown up outside another droid shop. we only ever walk past that a little bit, but I had to draw them because they didn't exist. But I drew arms that look exactly like the arms of sort of like an R2 unit holding up a sign, you know, in the way that R2 on Jabba's sail barge has a tray of drinks and food or whatever. I did it so that one of the droids that we found, so he could have a shoulder brace that held the shop sign.
Right, okay.
And we never actually saw it, but I did the sign. It was actually called Tom and Kip's Droid Shop, which is a nod to two fellas that I don't know, but they do a podcast.
Okay.
They don't do it anymore, but it was called Mayacast, because I'm a tabletop wargamer, and they did a podcast all about a game called Infinity. So
did they know that, by the way? Did they know that you did that?
Once the show came out, I did tell them, I said, look, guys, I tried, but I failed. But I do invite anyone who has got Disney Plus to go and look at the Disney Plus secret, like season 2 secret thing that was released today, and maybe see if you can see any Orabesh.
Okie dokie.
That might say Tom and Kip.
Ah. So they got some payback then.
I got them in, yeah.
Well done.
But yeah, that droid shop was really, really cool, because you could, bearing in mind, every shop you could go in, we just didn't.
That's just nuts. But I get it goes back to your point, doesn't it? People the actors want to feel like they're there, and we certainly felt like we were there when you were watching it.
Yeah.
And you know what the cool thing about, you know, I think I mentioned last episode, you still watch, you know, the original trilogy now and spot new things, and that's just going to be the gift that keeps on giving. So yeah, we might be you might be getting the odd text message and.
Yeah. Well, there's a fella's been messaging me every time he spots a new funerary stone.
Right. Oh, you mentioned Jerry. He's got like
Yeah.
He's there translating all the rocks on the wall.
Yeah, I mean they won't be able to translate them. It's basically crew names. I think I'm on there, and just members of the art department and set deck are dead, and it has bricks in the wall. But you'd have to really go some to spot them. You'd have to be looking anywhere but the main actors, you know.
Yeah. Yeah, that's ace. But you know what? You know that whole final scene you've spoken about, the explosion outside another droid shot, but it was so well done because even though they got a gun to Cyril's head, Cyril was squealing like a pig, demonstrating a weak man. They then escaped, and you think, oh, hang on a second, what's gone there? But no, that was a distraction. Did Cyril know that it was a distraction? Because at one stage you saw him captured, and then the next stage you saw Cyril sort of leaving the building, and then he was with his men. Did they know that he had ratted them out? To be discovered. But you see that explosion, and then you see the escape, and then the other explosion. You see jubilation on the troops, then go to absolute despair. Sergeant Mosk, you could just make it out, and then when you see subtitles, he's calling for Bacta, and then that episode ends with Marva with tears in her eyes. You can see her breath in the cold air, which was a nice little thing, because they had spoken so much in the first episode about tell her to put the heating on.
It was cold. That was
Right.
special effects. But every morning, locations had to come in about 2 hours before anyone else and get heaters on in that set.
Really? Right. Oh, wow.
And it was leaking.
But it works. The temperature works for that one because it was just a great montage, after the whole back to and Mosk yelling, sir, what we going to do. It was just character to character to character. Their reactions, their emotions, and other people and minor characters. You've got Salmon, you've got Pac, you've got the other people from Ferrix. It was just a really, really good montage of people. And then cut to the Fondor, Luthen's ship, the parallels and the synergy with Cassa being rescued and taken from one world to another, and then Cassian being effectively rescued and taken from, again, danger from one world to another. That first arc, there are so many sort of synergies and mirroring. The beginning of the first episode, you've got Cassian looking for his sister. At the end of the first episode, Cassian departs from his sister as he goes off on the scavenger hunt, and she has to stay behind. And again, you've seen all these Kenari flashbacks, him moving on. So I just think it's all so linked. The sort of fluidity and the sort of the way in which it all works together, I think is just incredibly done. People could quite easily write theses on this, degree in Andor, because there's so much to unpick.
Yeah, gets your mouth watering for what's going to happen next.
It does. So it did the job. It really, really did. 3 episodes dropped, and we're thirsty for the next chapter. Baz, this has been great. Stu, Dan, this has been awesome. Baz, are you going to be able to join us, hopefully, for our next episode to look at the second?
Maybe if I can fit you guys in around tabletop wargaming.
Amazing. I think we might have to fit us in around your tabletop wargaming, because this has been a great insight into the first arc. You being able to share your experiences and us just being able to talk and sort of spot a few things maybe that some people had seen or others hadn't. It's been great to have a bit of a trip and a reflection of the first arc.
I get why people watch this and went, oh, it's just too slow for me. I do completely get it. I do hope that there's some people that maybe watched 1 or 2 and didn't watch 3 and didn't watch the others that can just give it a go.
Yeah.
I think it's worth it, and I think season 2 makes it more worth it.
Ooh, nice. Well, we will be waiting, absolutely waiting for season 2. But until then, mate, we are going to be getting together to talk about the second arc, the third arc, the fourth arc, and then who knows what afterwards, because this is our journey marching towards Andor season 2. It's been brilliant. It's been great fun, and I'm really, really looking forward to our next conversations.
It's human. It's incredibly truthful, and it just happens to be in a galaxy far, far away.
So that draws an end to tonight's episode. Tune in, stay connected with Generation Skywalker. Follow us at the We Are Generation Skywalker Facebook page, or make sure you subscribe to whatever podcast of choice you have, because we're going to be dropping more and more episodes on this.
You will never find a more wretched hive of scum and villainy.
Generation Skywalker, not just talking about Andor. So in the past we've covered Book of Boba Fett, Ahsoka, we've covered
Obi-Wan
Kenobi. Thank you very much, Dan.
We've done commentaries.
Yeah, indeed. We've had an entire month dedicated to Attack of the Clones. That's one of Dan's and Stu's favourites. We've even had a couple of shows where we've dedicated for the listeners to drinking Star Wars inspired beers. Some quite good shows indeed. And we also have a whole collection of Those Old Fossils dedicated to vintage collecting, and The Modern Way dedicated to modern collecting. So there's plenty of Star Wars content on Generation Skywalker. But until next time, it's goodbye from Dan.
I'm fat and satisfied.
It's goodbye from Stu.
Fight the Empire.
And it's goodbye from Baz.
I'm off to Spellhouse.
Oh, very good indeed you are, Mr. Anto Kreegyr.
Deep cut.
And it's goodbye from me. We are Generation Skywalker. All eras, all passions, all Star Wars.